In our real life, some companies may use more than one predetermined overhead rate to apply manufacturing overhead to jobs. For example, a company may choose to use a predetermined overhead rate for each of its production departments. This is also a job order costing system, but with multiple predetermined overhead rates. It's more complicated, but it's more accurate because it reflects differences across departments in terms of how jobs consume overhead costs. In departments which are relatively labor-intensive, then they can use direct labor hours as allocation base. But in departments which are relatively machine-intensive, their overhead costs can be applied to jobs based on machine hours. And let's take a look at the example. Dixon Company has two production departments, milling and assembly. The company uses a job order costing system and calculates a predetermined overhead rate in each production department. The predetermined overhead rate in the milling department is based on machine hours, and in the assembly department is based on direct labor hours. The company uses a cost-plus pricing and a markup percentage of 75% of the total manufacturer overhead cost to establish selling prices for all its jobs. At the beginning of the year, the company made the following estimates. For each department, we have machine hours, direct labor hours, total fixed MO, manufacturer overhead cost, variable manufacturer overhead per machine hour for milling, and variable manufacturing overhead per direct labor hour for assembly department. Okay, machine hours is allocation base for milling department. Direct labor hour is allocation base for assembly department. So when we calculate a predetermined overhead rate, we will get different rates. Step 1. We need to calculate a predetermined overhead cost for each department. During the current month, the company started and completed job 407. It wants to use its predetermined departmental overhead cost and rate for the milling and assembling departments. To calculate predetermined overhead rate, we divide estimated manufacturer overhead by estimated allocation base. For milling department, allocation base is machine hour. So total machine hours, 60,000 is the denominator of the formula. For assembly department, the allocation base is direct labor hour. Direct labor hour estimated total 80,000. So 80,000 is denominator of the formula. Now we will calculate estimated manufacturer overhead, the numerator of the formula. Let's first take a look at the milling department. Follow the equation y equals a plus bx. A is fixed manufacturer overhead cost. For milling department, 390,000. Plus bx. B is the variable manufacturer overhead per machine hour. So for milling department, $2. Multiplied by total level of allocation base, 60,000 machine hours. And we can get 510,000. This is estimated total manufacturer overhead for milling department. For assembly department, fixed part of MO, or just simply say MO, that's manufacturer overhead, plus variable MO per direct labor hour, $3.75 multiplied by total allocation base levels, 80,000 direct labor hours, and then we can get 800,000. Step 2, we can calculate predetermined overhead rate for each department. We use the formula total MO cost divided by estimated allocation base. So for milling department, 510,000 divided by 60,000 machine hours. You will get predetermined overhead rate $8.50 per machine hour. For assembly department, 800,000 divided by 80,000 direct labor hours, and then we can get $10 per direct labor hour. Step 3, we can calculate the amount of overhead applied from both departments to a job. For the job here, job 407, direct machine hours used for milling department, 90. Assembly 4. Direct labor hours 5, assembly 20. And then we have cost of direct materials and direct labor. But keep in mind, the allocation base for milling department is machine hour. So we will just use machine hours consumed by milling department to calculate MO cost. Direct labor hours consumed by milling department, 5 here is not relevant. For assembly department, direct labor hours are allocation base. We will just use 20 direct labor hours consumed by assembly department to calculate MO cost. 4 machine hours here is not relevant. So for milling department, total MO is calculated by 90 machine hours multiplied by predetermined overhead rate, $8.50 per machine hour, and then we can get $765. For assembly department, we use 20 direct labor hours multiplied by $10 per direct labor hour. Total MO is $200. Step 4, we can calculate the total job cost for this job. We add up direct materials, direct labor, and the MO applied, which we just calculated for 2 departments. And then we can easily get total cost of a job 407 for milling and assembly department respectively. Those are calculations. And then we can combine all costs together for both departments, and then we can get the total cost for this job for this company, $2,485. Step 5, we can calculate selling price for job 407. The question has told us the selling price of this job assuming a 75% markup. That's a markup increase on the cost. So we have total cost just calculated, $2,485. Markup here, 70% on top of the cost. So we use cost multiplied by 75%, and then we can get a markup here, 1,863.75. And add up to the cost, we can get selling price $4,348.75. Using departmental overhead rates is one approach of a job order costing system, which includes multiple predetermined overhead rates. Another approach is to create overhead rates related to the activity performed within departments. This approach is called activity-based costing, ABC. ABC here usually results more overhead rates than departmental approach because each department may perform more than one activity. And we will learn activity-based costing system, ABC, in Chapter 7. Managers use activity-based costing systems to more accurately measure the demands which jobs, products, customers, or other cost objects make on overhead resources. The last thing I want to mention here, in this chapter, we focus on manufacturing companies as examples to explain job order costing system. But job order costing system is also used in service companies, like law firms, accounting firms.